And here we go again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night from wherever you're watching in the world. I'm XNotaG, and you join me in the commentary box for tonight's episode of the GT7 League here at Gavra Racing. We're here for Season 1, round number 4 at Trial Mountain, a new circuit, or a returning circuit added to this game, but it makes its debut in the league. You join us for our usual 20 minutes qualifying session. We're 3.5 minutes in already. And we have some big breaking news to announce. Your championship leader, Toussaint0208, cannot make it for tonight's race. He leads the championship by roughly 28-30 points, I think it is, from the top of my head, but will be scoring 0 in tonight's race. We've got some few new drivers on the grid as well today. We've got FTR Stan replacing Costa, it's Finn's usual teammate. He's in the Subaru for tonight's race. Dan Schneider making his return to the GT franchise per se, a name from GT Sport, and he's back for some GT7 action, racing tonight in the BWT Mercedes AMG. We've also got the Scout Dan making his return back to GT7, serving a 3-second time penalty on the start finish straight for crossing the pit lane entrance or exit, and will start his qualifying lap. But this lap will be compromised, obviously, for serving that 3-second time penalty. That's the annoying thing about this circuit. The penalty gate is on the start finish straight, so especially in qualifying, your lap times will be compromised on 2 occasions. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, for just a couple of seconds. I'm trying to get the stream working on my phone so I can check my audio's working and everything sounds good. So I'll be back in no more than 10 seconds, hopefully. Boom, it is working all nice on my end. Let me know what it's like for you guys, if it's too loud, too quiet, or you can't even hear me at all. But if you can't hear me at all, you're not going to hear me asking you to let me know what my volume's like, but we'll move swiftly on from that. I can hear myself perfectly fine. And right, we're ready to do this after the events from Lago Maggiore. If you haven't watched that episode or that season, that race story, make sure to go watch it. If you're not a Twitch Prime subscriber, you can view it over on our YouTube channel as well, Gavra Racing. You should be able to see all races so far this season, starting off in the Nürburgring, then travelling over to Spain before heading over to Italy in Lago Maggiore, and now over in America for Trial Mountain, the 31 lap race ahead after the 20 minutes qualifying. Tiger Assassin puts his Mercedes on provisional pole position, and Stan goes into second place, 9/10 off of provisional pole. It's a 49.5 for Stan and a 48.6 for Tiger Assassin. Legion puts his Porsche up into third place and Finn currently in fifth. But I believe these laps by the 2 German drivers are on a set of the medium compound tyres. Dan Schneider goes up into third place on his GT7 return as the Scout Dan goes up into 8th, but can definitely improve as his lap was compromised by a time penalty. Ted goes up into 8th place behind MD, who goes into 7th with 1 minute 50 flat, as Piero in the McLaren goes up into 4th place with a 1 minute 49.181. Bonnie Evil goes up into 2nd place on the front row of the grid, 6900th behind Asengrin, who's put his Mercedes on pole position in his 2nd race this season, joining us last week in Lago Maggiore. But Bonnie Evil, who has started 2 of the last 3 races on pole position, we're trying to make it 3 from 4, but hasn't finished on the podium thus far this season. There seems to be some sort of curse for starting on pole position, because none of the last 3 pole sitters, I don't think, have finished on the podium in their races respectively. I'll just double check that stat. But yeah, no, none of the pole sitters have currently finished in the top 3 thus far this season. So who will be the first to break the curse? Tim on the soft compound tyres at 1 minute 48.5. A really good lap time from the Flying Finn. So he makes his way now into the final sector. He's got Pierre in front of him for a little bit of a tow. Let's see if he can improve in his second lap. It's often a couple of laps into the stint where the tyres get up to temperature and the fuel depletes. With the new update dropped only yesterday at the time of recording, Tim improves by a 10th and goes up, or extends his provisional pole advantage. What can Dan Schneider do in the BWT? Mercedes goes up into 3rd place on the 2nd row of the grid, 1,000th behind Piero, and only 300ths ahead of Bon Evil, 600ths ahead of Tiger. Now we were saying in Spain, I think I said it in the Nürburgring, how close these drivers can get in qualifying. Although the gaps were about 0.4 of a second at the start of qualifying in round 1, they were a couple of hundredths by the end of it, and Tim's going even quicker on his 3rd lap on the soft compound tyres. The new update bringing a new physics update to the tyre wear and the tyre temp. So it's often more later on in the stints that drivers can go set faster lap times, kind of like how Lewis Hamilton does in Formula 1. His fastest laps not always on the 1st or 2nd lap on the soft compound tyres, or the mediums, whatever it be, but you see lap 20, lap 30 in real life is when those fastest laps starts coming in. We've got that here in GT7 now, with the fuel depletion as well tonight. From what I've heard, lap 5 is the prime lap, the one where you can fully go for it if you get it right. It's where the fuel's at its lowest before the tyres go off the cliff, and with the new update coming in, the tyres can last that little bit longer, so maybe we might see a few extra laps being added on to a few of these stints, maybe some more 1-stops or some more aggressive 2-stops. Dan Schneider, purple it seems, going through the first few sectors, but what about Tim making his way through the final corner? It seems like we're getting a lot of Tim action so far, but he's the only one who've really been having to... He's been at the right place at the right time on the circuit. Up to the line. Can he beat Tiger Assassin? No, he can't. Doesn't improve in his personal best, as Tiger is your new provisional pole sitter. Dan Schneider up to the line. Doesn't improve. He's backing off to let Legion go through, who's currently in 8th place. The Scout Dan and Ted making their way up to the line in the Subaru and the Mercedes respectively. Ted doesn't improve. Dan does improve with a 51.0. Cameron Kaboom up to the line in the Porsche, goes up into 8th place, 7.5 tenths off Stan, 1.4 seconds off pole position. As Bon Evil crosses the line, goes up into 2nd place, a 10th behind Tiger Assassin, 1 minute 48.3. Will we see any lap times in the 47s tonight? If any driver can accomplish that, then that will be a really, really solid lap. 10 minutes to go in quali. As I send the reminder in the chat, because there is no official qualifying as yet in the game. Hello and welcome to everyone tuning in. You've got, well, for those who have just started tuning in, we've got 9 minutes left of this qualifying session before we start 31 lap race. For those who are familiar and have been watching the first half of this season, you might see a few familiar names not on the leaderboard on the left hand side of your screen. Your championship leader, Toussaint, unable to make it for tonight's race, so he could score no points in this race. Obviously there's still 9 minutes if he can make it back in time, but it's a good opportunity for the likes of Finn, Piero, Bon Evil as well, those who are sitting in 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship, to score some good points on their rivals around them. We've got a nice train forming in the final sector. Dan Schneider pulls into the pit lane, a few other drivers coming into the pit as well. Legion making his way through the final corner ahead of Piero on track, but is currently sitting in 9th place in qualifying as of yet. He's on a worn set of soft compound tyres, doesn't improve on his personal best. What about Piero in 4th? Where can he go up into? I think that was just no, that was an outlap. My apologies. He will be in 4th place for now, but is starting another flying lap behind none other than the flying Finn in 3rd place. And I think Piero, indeed he has. He's got a 1 second time penalty, so this and his next lap will be compromised, because that penalty gate is on the start-finish straight, and it's so good that it rhymes. Finn is almost also has a 5/10 penalty, so his lap and next lap will be compromised. ND making his way in towards turn 1 in 10th place on the circuit. Took a lot of curb and grass on the inside of turn 1, or turn 2 even. Doesn't actually get a 5/10 penalty. We'll monitor his lap. As what about Tiger Assassin? He's on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. I believe this might be an outlap though, and not necessarily a flying lap. Those softs look too fresh for a flying lap. Bon Evil, I think, might be into the pits at the end of this lap to change onto another set of the soft compound tyres. Tim also on a fresh set of softs. Piero with that 1 second penalty. Dan Schneider also pitting for a fresh set of softs, and Finn's into the pits as well. Looks like we're at that base in qualifying where everyone's in the pit lane or just leaving the pit lane on out laps. So we haven't actually got anyone on track at the minute who I think is on a flying lap. We've got TCR Legion who's making his way through the final corner, although he is on quite a worn set of soft compound tyres, so I don't think he is set to improve on his current 49.9. Piero's next lap will also be compromised due to the 1 second penalty he's collected, so he will serve it here at this penalty gate. Let's ride on board with Tim for a flying lap as he makes his way down the start finish straight. He's in the tow for McLaren in front of him on the circuit, and we'll use cockpit cam for the passenger seat for this flying lap. I'm also keeping an eye on the bottom left hand corner of the screen as well, just to remind the drivers when it's 5 minutes left. It looks quick through the first sector, taking a lot of inside curve through turn 2, exactly what you want to do to keep the speed high, nice and tight to the apex and the barrier on the inside through the tunnel of turn 4 in towards 5, a corner where it's really easy to hit the barrier on the inside, which will throw you out wide, and you might hit the barrier on the outside of turn 5. Through the middle sector he makes his way now under the little bridge for turn 8, keeping it nice and tight on the inside. You don't get a penalty for going over those yellow lines, as now down the 0.83 mile long straight, the longest straight this circuit has to offer. Through the tunnel he goes. I'm sure his headlights will be guiding the way before he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, braking at the sign that tells you to turn left, down towards 3rd gear, on the power, nice and early, nice and smooth on the steering wheel, all the way out to the outside curb, keeping it nice and tight, keeping it straight as possible, braking in a straight line, down to 2nd gear, on the power, nice and early, bringing the car out nice and wide onto the blue and white curb, braking for the downhill left-hander of turn 13. You can kind of see where drivers have gone a little bit wide on the exit of 13, with tyre marks being embedded in the outside gravel. The awkward final 2 corners, the final chicane at the circuit, nearly hits the wall on the outside. I think he might have even brushed the barrier. That's how close he was. Up to the line now in the Mercedes. What lap is it going to be? It's a 48.1, and it is your provisional pole lap time, and I was so into that lap that I forgot to send the 5 minute mark. We'll go with 4 minutes in 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and send. And a really good lap from Tim. 800th clear of Tiger Assassin, who's currently ahead of him on circuit. Behind him on lap times, a lot of drivers making their way up to the line. Dan Schneider still 1,000th of a second behind Piero. Finn 4,000th behind Dan Schneider, and Cameron Kaboom 1/10 off Finn. Stan in 8th place, but only 7/10 off provisional pole position. ND 1/10 ahead of Legion, who's 2.5 ahead of Ted. Dan in the Mercedes, really close to the back of that Subaru in terms of lap time. Only 8/100ths off the Irishman in front with a 1 minute 50.1. Let's see if he can get into the 49s by the end of the session, although he does have front bumper and front left suspension damage, which will repair itself as the session goes on. Anyone improving on their recent laps? Cameron Kaboom's last lap was good enough for 7th place with a 1 minute 48.6. I think he might be going for another one as he overtakes, I believe it was Piero in the McLaren. He's just backing off. I don't think he's set a lap time. His last lap time was lap 4. That was the 48.5. I think that's his only competitive lap time. He's only got 3 minutes left to do it as Ted goes past, and the Scoutdown's going to sit behind the Frenchman for now. Tim is into the pit lane as Tiger stays out on his fresh soft compound tyres. The soft, the quickest, but have the highest tyre wear. I think Tiger might have brushed the barrier on the outside. That might compromise his run up to the start finish line as he starts his penultimate flying lap. Bonneville in 3rd. He's not on a lap as Singstar, nor is Piero. Dan Schneider though making his way through the final corner. I believe he's on a somewhat of a competitive lap. Let's see what the lap time has to offer. He needs 1,000th to get ahead of Piero in 4th. Has he found the 1,000th? It's better than 1,000th. It's 2/10. It goes up into 3rd place. He's the first driver on the 2nd row of the grid. But look at these fine margins. A 10th behind Tiger Assassin, 100th ahead of Bonneville. we could be in for a really special race here tonight at Trial Mountain, which makes its GT7 Gavra Racing debut tonight, as well as a few other drivers on the grid. Darren Schneider, I think, making his GT7 League debut, was here at the start for the first event in Daytona, all the way back in March. But look at this, Darren Schneider is 2/10 purple through the first sector. The BW Team Mercedes, for those who have watched GT3 racing, it might be a familiar livery to some. For others, it might be more familiar to the former Racing Point team in Formula 1. Tim still owns the provisional pole position slot, but he's got drivers behind him setting purple lap times. Another one of them is Bon Evil. Piero making his way down the back straight in the McLaren. The McLaren's not the fastest in the straight line, so it could probably do with some slipstream for the perfect quali lap that Piero could pull off. But let's not doubt the Frenchman. Best finish of the season so far. Second place in Spain, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, after a thrilling last lap showdown. It was a Spanish showdown between him and Toussaint. The final 6 laps of that race were honestly amazing, but the whole race was filled with action. Tiger now up to the line, currently in second place. Can he go one better and take pole position? Not on this occasion. What about Dan Schneider in third place at the minute? He's making his way through the final corner, as is Tim in pole position. There are 30 seconds left to go, and all the drivers are aware that when that hit timer hits 20, quali's over. Darren Schneider on his debut goes provisional pole position by 200th of a second. It's a 48.163. An amazing lap from the Dutchman. If it's not Dutchy on pole, it's another Dutchman taking his place. What about Piero? It's going to be a 48.8. I mean, it is 3/10 of his personal best so far. Qualifying is already kicking up a few notches here. What about Bon Evil? He goes up into fourth place, or I think maintains fourth place with a 148.3. What about Piero making his way through the middle sector? And that is it. Last lap. Who's going to be the first driver to finish qualifying? It is FGR Finn in the Ford Mustang. Although I'm not sure he's on a lap time. No, he could be on a lap. No, I don't think he's on a lap time. He's already in the 1 minute 37. So Finn will be starting in no higher than 6th place for now. Cameron Cabrin with a 1 second penalty. He won't be improving. Stan's not improving as well. He's backed off his lap. He stopped it just before the entrance of turn 9. Who's approaching the start finish straight? I believe that is Finn, who's in the final sector. Tiger Assassin in the Mercedes, waving the flag for BC Martinite. His teammates unable to make it for this race. Into the final 2 corners. He's on the second row of the grid. Currently he's 6th in the championship so far after 3 races. Can he go any higher and put it on the first row of the grid? Maybe even provisional pole position. Yes, he can. Did we ever doubt him? A 48.1, 200th clear of Dan Schneider, who I think could be improving. What about TCR Legion in the Porsche? Where can he finish? Currently in 9th position for the Porsche. Can he gain the 6 tenths to get ahead of Stan? Not on this lap. He will start no higher than 9th place. Dan Schneider around the final corner. Tim up to the line. He goes into 3rd place. Will start no higher than the second row of the grid. Dan Schneider, though, on his debut, he is not going to improve, but it could be a stunning 2nd place as long as Bon Evil doesn't. Piero doesn't go quicker. Piero doesn't go quicker. Speaking of Bon Evil, where is he? He's in 4th place, down the start finish straight up to the start finish line. Where does he go? He doesn't improve in his personal best, and will start in 4th position. Unless ND, Ted, or the Scout Dan can improve. The Scout Dan will start in 12th place. Ted doesn't improve, misses out by such fine margins, 100th of his personal best, and ND's backed off in the end. So Tiger Assassin, well, he's capitalised on his teammate not being here tonight. He's taken pole position for the first time this season. Will he be the one to break the pole position curse? It's Dan Schneider, another Dutchman, on the front row of the grid, taking over from Play Dutchy, it seems. But Tibb starting on 3rd place ahead of Bon Evil in 4th, Piero in 5th. Finn will start in 6th ahead of Cameron Kaboom in 7th. Stan has Legion alongside him in 8th and 9th place, with ND in the 10th, Ted in 11th, and the Scout down in 12th place. What am I trying to do? Good luck, everyone. Have a good race. Let's have a clean race. And we can get this race underway. I hope you guys like the GT7 background music. It is non-copyrighted, so it is perfectly legal in that sense. It's a nice bit of atmosphere, you know. Trial Mountain, located in the mountainous regions of America, somewhere in the made-up worlds of GT7. 3.38 miles long, 0.83 miles is the longest straight on the circuit. 15 corners, 9 to the left and 6 to the right. 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. No one jumps to start this time, as Tiger Assassin's off to a good start. It's a Mercedes 1-2 that leads the field away in towards turn 1. Dan Schneider tucks in behind his fellow Mercedes driver as Bon Evil looks to go down the inside of Tim in towards turn 1. Pierre on the inside of Finn. In the background, we've got Ted making the moves on ND. I think ND might just have got the position ahead of the Irishman, as Ted still actually on the inside of his fellow Irishman, gets the move done ahead of ND. Dan gaining 2 positions off the start as well. Finn down to 7th place. I believe he started this race in 6th, but don't quote me on that. Someone's in the war. I think Legion might have given the Subaru of Stan a little bit of a knock as they make their way through the first sector. Dan up into 10th place, might try and capitalise on the possible damage sustained by the Subaru, but there is no damage. He's got away with it. He's starting on the medium compound tyres. I believe everyone is on the medium tyres as Tiger with a 7/10 lead already. Tim looking for a move on the inside of Bon Evil as they make their way down the back straight. For the first time this race, the Mercedes just tucks in behind the Genesis. There's the McLaren in the background looking racy. Piero launches one to the inside of Tim, gets the move down up into 4th place, and he might even try and set himself up for a move on Piero. Cameron Boone follows him through. What is happening to Tim at the start of the race? He's falling down like a rock in a pond. Cameron Boone almost rear ends the back of Piero, making their way through turn 12. Tim struggling on the medium compound tyres at the start of the race. Cameron Kaboom with a good start in the Porsche, up into 5th. Dan Schneider in 2nd place, holding on for now with Bon Evil close behind. Is he going to be behind for much longer as he almost looks for a move on the inside? Piero sends one to the inside, in towards the slow left-right chicane on the final corner, hits the wall on the outside, and with the new damage update, there is no damage done to that McLaren. Definitely would have been had the damage model not have been fixed. Damage is still on lights for the remaining of the season, just means it will repair itself roughly 30 seconds to a minute after sustaining the damage. But Tiger Assassin has led a lap this season after starting on pole position and finishing the first lap in 1st place ahead of Dan Schneider making his GT7 debut in the BWT Mercedes. Look at this, Finn and Cameron Kaboom getting a little bit racy for 6th place as the German in the Mustang drifts his way through turn 5 and ahead of Cameron Kaboom, who drops down to 6th place for now, ahead of his fellow Porsche racer TCR Legion, who's in 8th place. Stan in 9th. We'll be looking to try and get a little bit further up the field to help his team out a little bit, but he's doing a stunning job on his debut nevertheless. Ted in 10th place has got himself ahead of Scout Dan and ND, who's dropped to the back of the grid in the 2013 Nissan GTR. But the slipstream keeping Dan Schneider in this. Bon Evil trying to go round the outside of the Mercedes. Through turn 9 they go. The long swooping left-hander couldn't quite make the move stick round the outside, but he's having taken the wide line. He's got a good run up the hill in towards 10, 11, and the right-hander of 12. Can the Genesis find a way past? Maybe it's the inside of the Mercedes. So they go down the hill now in towards turn 13 to the final sector of this track. Dan looks like he's drifting his way through turn 13. Not a lot of grip on those medium tyres, it seems. Maybe just a little bit cold at the start of the race. Pierre almost looking for a move on the inside of Bon Evil, trying to do something that he tried on the previous lap. All this squabbling just allowed Tiger Assassin to get a little bit of a lead. It's not much, but it's 9/10 and growing. It's now at 2nd. Poor exit from Dan Schneider might have cost him the position to Bon Evil as they go side by side, door to door, and the run down towards turn 1. Dan Schneider just tucks in behind Bon Evil for now. Look at Tim and Piero going side by side in the run down towards turn 1, but it is Tim who gets the move down up into 4th place and ahead of the McLaren. Look how close the top 7 are together. 2 seconds separating 7 cars. That is incredible. Cameron Kaboom now to the inside of Finn in towards the hairpin of turn 4 as they make their way through the tunnel. Not a lot of grip on the tunnel as Dan Schneider's run wide onto the grass. He's going to lose 1, 2, maybe 3 positions down to 5th place behind Piero ahead of Cameron Kaboom. He might try and capitalise on the dirty tyres now on the Mercedes. What is happening in this battle for 5th place? Finn now to the inside. Dan, has he got damage? He hasn't got damage, but he's now dropped to 6th place. Cameron Kaboom in 7th. TCR Legion's now getting involved in this battle as well. 8 cars. Really close to each other. Often a recipe for chaos. Pierre is now dropped almost a second behind Tim after the altercations down at turn 4. I think it was Dan Snyder who instigated it, not in a bad way, but a mistake on the exit of the corner, bunching up the field slightly. He's outbroke himself in towards the hairpin at turn 9, got slightly wide, and that could allow Cameron Kaboom to seize on an opportunity to gain a couple of positions and move ahead of the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Bon Evil and Tim getting a little bit racy for second place as Tiger's doing his best to try and pull away from the rest of the field, but it looks like the slipstream keeping the cars behind in a fighting chance for taking the lead of the race. Piero trying his best to get within the slipstream as Dan Snyder launches one to the inside of Finn, down in towards the hairpin of turn 14, the penultimate corner in this race. Couldn't quite make it stick, but maybe with a good exit from the exit of the final corner, can he get ahead of the FGR driver in the Mustang? The slipstream will be helping him. Cameron Kaboom in the background as well. The Porsche had a slightly better straight line speed. They could be 3 wide in towards turn 1, but Dan's not going to try anything on Finn. Is Cameron going to try something on Dan? Not on this lap. Cameron Kaboom a little bit wide in towards turn 1. Finn with a 1 second penalty. In fact, that's going to compromise his race massively, especially with Legion now going down the inside of Cameron Kaboom. The top 8 separated by only 4 seconds as now Cameron maintains 7th place. He's got his Porsche back ahead of the other Porsche. What an action-packed start we've got to this race. The top 3 separated by 9/10 of a second as the Scout Dan has left the session, disconnected unfortunately for him after only 4 racing laps. Pierre now 1.3 seconds behind Tim, who's now 1.4 seconds ahead of Finn. The battling for 5th place and below has really cost these drivers a lot in terms of their lap time, but it's great racing in the opening laps of Trail Mountain. Definitely not disappointing. It may be one to replace Lago Maggiore in terms of ultimate will-to-will action. Speaking of, Bon Evil now to the inside of the race leader. Tiger Assassin, who's now been demoted to 2nd place, will try the old switcheroo on the exit of turn 9, but Bon Evil gets to move down up into the lead of the race. Maybe Tiger might try and use this to maybe save some fuel within the slipstream of Bon Evil, but he can't afford to save that much, otherwise he could lose the position to Tim. If Tim wants to get the move done and fight for the lead of the race, there might have been contact between those two. The Mercedes looked a little bit unsettled at the rear of the car as they made their way down the hill and towards turn 13. Meanwhile, in the background, the battle for 7th place. Dan Snyder ahead of TCR Legion, who's been overtaken by Cameron Kaboom. But these 3 drivers in 6th, 7th and 8th might see them move up into 5th, 6th and 7th, because Finn, he's got to serve a 1 second time penalty. He falls over to the right hand side of the track off the racing line. Quickly ungoes. He goes down to 6th place, down to 7th. Will he lose the position to Legion, who's now will to will with the Ford Mustang? Yes, he has. Legion now up into 7th place as Finn gets demoted down to 6th. Stan 1.8 seconds now behind his new teammate, with Ted and ND having a nice battle for 10th place. You can see the brake lights, or the rear lights, lighting the top 3 up as we look at the front pack making their way through the tunnel in the first section. Turn 4, 180 degree hairpin in the tunnel. It's a nightmare in the dark. As Legion now gets ahead, stays ahead of Finn as Finn had the penalty, but the German sends one down the inside. Legion leaves him the space, maybe runs a little bit wide, almost hits the rocks on the outsiders, and they now go door to door through the tunnel in the back straight. Let's ride on board with TCR Legion, and you can see he's going wheel to wheel with the Mustang, but the Porsche doesn't have the speed to keep up with the Mustang, but it ducks into the slipstream to give it another shot down towards the hairpin of turn 9. Is he going to go for it on the outside? Finn going defensive, keeping it nice and tight to the left hand side of the track, as a Legion with a good run up the hill goes onto the gravel. Here comes Stan, he's now joining the battle for 7th place. The Porsche getting a little bit out of shape, it seems. The top 3 though still separated by only a second. Bon Evil keeping Tiger Assassin at bay. The fuel and the tyre wear fairly similar between the top 3. Pierre only a second, 9/10 behind Tim, trying to make the top 3 become a little bit more unsettled. Cameron Kaboom running a good race in 5th place, although is suffering a little bit from a little bit more tyre wear than the top 3 currently running. Finn looking after his front tyres fairly well in comparison to the Porsche behind. He's gained a 7/10 advantage over him. As look at Ted now trying to get racy on the back of the old Nissan. after Polyphony recently dropped the 2018 Nissan GTR GT3. As here goes Ted in the black and gold. This Subaru just backs off in the end. ND keeps 10th place for now. Tiger Assassin still in 2nd place under pressure from Tim, trying to find a way past Bon Evil, unless he's trying to save some fuel. That is a strategy that some drivers have or would like to adapt. Lose on track time but save it all in the pit lane. If you can keep up with the driver in front, use their slipstream to pull you in, then it is certainly not a bad strategy. Speaking of strategy, drivers in this race, as for the rest of the season, have to use any or at least 2 different tyre compounds during the course of the race, otherwise it will result in a 1-minute time penalty. Here goes Tim now going for a move on the inside of Tiger Assassin, down in towards turn 9, late on the brakes. Tiger gives him the room, takes a nice wide line, and that promotes Tim up into 2nd place. Doesn't look like Tiger was too keen on fighting that one too hard. Maybe trying to save some fuel. He's got less fuel than Tim. Looks like Tim's done a bit of saving whilst he's been sat behind the white, black and lime green Mercedes. Piero in the McLaren will be looking to try and get a few places higher than 4th place. We know he's capable of doing it. Evident in Spain. He's caught up to the front 3 now, making it a front 4. Let's see what he can do in the McLaren. Should be a fairly competitive car against the Mercedes and the Genesis. We'll keep an eye on the progress. Ted has made his way ahead of NG throughout the course of the race, moving up into 10th position. I think his best so far this season. We'll be scoring some good points as Wolfie's not here for tonight's race. Here goes Dan to the inside of Cameron Kaboom, and now he gets up into 5th place. It's the Mercedes 235, a good showing for the German manufacturer. Tim now takes the lead in the race to the inside, and at turn 4 on your race leader Bon Evil, who's now demoted to 2nd place. Tim on a charge, he's gained 2 positions in the last lap respectively, and now Tim leads this race. Here at Charles Mountain we've had 3 different race leaders, and we're only on lap 7. 4 drivers now fighting away at the front. Bon Evil, Tiger Assassin, Piero and Attengren. Darren Schneider 4.6 seconds behind, but he's going wheel to wheel with Cameron Kaboom. No, Cameron Kaboom's going wheel to wheel with Finn, Finn taking a slightly wider line, has got a good run on the Porsche in front. I think Cameron might lose the position because Finn is nice and tucked up within the slipstream. He's only 3/10 behind. I'm going to quickly have a look at the race leaders, the top 3. Bon Evil going to send one to the inside of Tim, not on this lap. What about Finn and Cameron Kaboom? I really don't like the new update to the camera as Legion hits the back of Finn, who hits the back of Cameron Kaboom. I think he might have given the Porsche a little bit of a brush, or at least a sniff, but Legion didn't get any, or lucky not to get any damage from that. Def probably would have done in the update before yesterday, update 1.25, patching the broken damaged model. Tiger Assassin out to the inside of Bon Evil, defensive into the final corner. Offensive into the final corner. He was in 3rd, he's now in 2nd. Bonnie loses another position, down in towards 3rd place, but he's going to try and set himself up for a good run down the start-finish straight for a move in towards the 1st corner. Only a 10th separating these 2 drivers, as Tim now has a 9/10 advantage due to the squabbling behind. Is Bon Evil going to send one? No, he's not. He's just going to back off, tuck into the slipstream for now and wait for another opportunity. Turn 9 is the easiest place to get a move done. Tiger's gone wide, he's gone deep in towards turn 1. Can he defend the position? No, he can't. He drops to 3rd place. Bon Evil swooping around his outside, gets up into 2nd place, and he's lost about 7-8 tenths, and there may be a couple of positions. Who was that? Was that Piero almost wall riding? He stopped on the track, and maybe his controller, his wheels disconnected, but I don't know what's happened to Piero. What has happened to Piero? Has he disconnected? It has. That's a big shame for Piero. Cameron Kaboom now in 4th place. Everyone gaining an extra position. Darren Schneider now up into 5th place, but look at the train that's forming behind the top 3. 5.6 seconds behind Tiger Assassin. Tim leads this race by 8/10 of a second. Bon Evil 2 seconds. Sorry, in 2nd place. Dan Schneider having to do a little bit of defending from Finn, who might try and send one down the inside of the Mercedes. Indeed, he's going to give it a go. Can he make this one stick at the exit of turn 9? Not on this lap. As they make their way now through the final sector. Let's keep an eye on the progress made from the top three. Tim pulling away, 1.1 seconds ahead now of Born Evil, who's a second ahead of Tiger. The gap starting to open up. Definitely not though in this three-way battle for fourth place. It's a three-way fight for the lead. It's a three-way fight for fourth place. We're on lap 8 of 31, 14 and a half minutes into this race. This lap race should last around 55 minutes if the calculations have been made correctly. Here goes Finn, looking for a move on Dan Schneider. He's got a good run through the final corner. The problem being though, Dan Schneider's also got slipstream from Cameron Kaboom in front. It's almost like a slipstream train as they make their way through the first corner. And in all fairness, Ted and ND aren't too far behind. The cars in front stand 2 seconds behind Legion, who's half a second behind Finn. The three-way fight for fourth has quickly become a four-way fight for fourth as Tim continues to extend his advantage out in front. He's got the fastest lap of the race, set on lap 3, a 49 flat, 1.6 seconds clear of Born Evil, 7/10 clear of Tiger Assassin now. Top three scoring good points in their hunt for the championship. And with your current championship leader, Toussaint, not being here for tonight's race, unfortunately, will not be scoring any points. But looks like Dan Schneider's just lost touch of Cameron Kaboom in front. Here's the chance that Finn needs to go for a move. Now down the inside as they go door to door, down the back straight. Dan Schneider though much later on the brake, sets Finn up for a move on the inside. Looks like there's contact between the Mercedes and the Mustang. There certainly is contact. They're now three wide as I think Legion now gets his wife into fifth place. Hits two birds with one stone. Might have been a little bit more contact. The Porsche looks out of control as Dan Schneider now goes down the inside of the American through the downhill section of turn 14. Defensive goes the Porsche as the Mercedes of Dan tries to work his way around the outside. Opens the door for Finn though to look at a move on the inside, and this battle for fifth place is really starting to kick up as the German couldn't quite get past the Dutchman at the penultimate corner. Thought about a move to the inside, backed off of it in the end, as Stan has now caught up in this battle for now what is fifth place. As Cameron Kaboom has gained 2.7 seconds on the drivers behind due to the altercations down at turn 9. Dan Schneider trying to go around the outside in towards turn 1. It'd be risky but beautiful if you can pull it off there. Finn maybe around the outside of turn 2. The inside for turn 3. It's a beautiful move from Finn at 120 miles per hour. Stan's following him through. Dan being caught napping as Stan and Finn get ahead of the Dutchman. Dan Schneider now down to 8th place in this race after being caught out by the Subaru and the Mustang. Pierre's joined the lobby back, but unfortunately won't be able to take control of his car. It's not like the F1 game, as Tim has pulled out massively, 2.7 seconds ahead of Born Evil on another level it seems. Brilliant move indeed. So Style gets a round of applause from the chat. Plenty of action tonight at Trial Mountain. What did I say at the start of the season? It's going to be a good one. Strap yourselves in because we're not even halfway through. I need to sneeze. And thankfully I muted my mic for that one. Finn now to the inside of Legion. For Legion's left the door open. Can the Mustang find a way through? It will be interesting to see if these two FGR drivers decide to battle for 6th place. Don't mean this in a bad way, but just from a spectator's point of view, it does look like Finn has the pace over his teammates. From what you've seen at the start of the race, here goes Tiger now to the inside, down the inside at turn 1. He gets up into 2nd place. Born Evil now demoted to 3rd. He flashes his lights at the Mercedes, but Tiger with a move to the inside. They've lost a second in the last lap. Tim now 3.8 seconds ahead of the top 2, and unfortunate for Piero, it was a disconnect, confirming it in the chat. And that is really unfortunate for him. It was looking like such a promising race. Our first retirement of the race, now down to 11 drivers. Don't know what I'm saying, 12. We started with 12, we're now down to 11 as Finn trying to go for a move on Legion. Legion doing a good job keeping the German behind, but he's ran a little bit wide through turn 8. This could get a little bit chaotic. Down at the turn 9, we could be 4 wide at the end of this back straight. Here goes Finn on Legion. What about Stan and Dan Schneider? Where are they going to feature in this particular battle? What a beautiful camera angle. Through the tunnel we go, down the hill with the beautiful trees either side. Finn on the inside, Dan Schneider on the inside. Stan now down to 8th place as he's trying to get past Legion, who hits the wall on the outside. Doesn't get any damage. Somehow doesn't get any damage. Finn now into 5th place as Dan Schneider gets past Stan. And a beautiful move from the respective drivers as Finn up into 5th. Dan still trying to attack the Mustang as Legion goes from 5th to 8th in one corner. Certainly not how he was planning on this lap going for him. But yeah, news in the news just in from the chat about FGR Costa. Obviously he's not here in tonight's race, being replaced for FGR Stan, maybe for the rest of the season. As just going to ask in the chat, Misanthrope, I can't speak. Misanthropics, do you mind if I express Costa's situation on stream? Tiger now doing the inside of Bonnie with the top 2. Second and third place going side by side. Wheel to wheel through the first sector, door to door. Bonnie will try to go around the outside, but he's in the wall and he's got damage. The battle for second place has exploded once again. It's not the first time that they've come together this season. Their first little incident at the Nürburgring, and now another one tonight here at Trial Mountain. Looks like Tiger's just lifted off the throttle to let Bonneville catch back up. A little flash of the lights to say, well, I appreciate that in some respects. Good sportsmanship from Tiger as Bonneville now goes for a move on the inside in towards turn 9. Apologies, Costa. We'll get onto your situation in just a couple of seconds whilst we watch the battle for the second place in the race. Tim now with a 7-second advantage over Bonneville and Tiger, squabbling for second place, but contact on lap 12 and damage to the Genesis, which has now eventually repaired itself. But absolutely crazy racing as Legion now trying to get back past Stewart. They're wheel to wheel through 9, 10, 11 and 12. Contact as the Porsche of Legion was temporarily perpendicular to the circuit. Here goes Stan now back ahead of the American. It's really kicking off for 6th place. What a race. What a race. My throat will be sore in the morning. And that could be misinterpreted, but you know what I mean. Ted now up into 8th place. A few drivers into the pits. Dan Schneider now up into 5th place behind Finn. Tiger only a 10th behind Bonneville as they make their way in towards turn 1. Let's get back to the Costa situation. I don't want to sound like this is all a bad thing, but as you can see, Stan in for the Swiss driver tonight. Could be replacing him for the next couple of races, as Costa had some, well, as I'm informed, some minor knee surgery. He'll be fine in a couple of weeks' time. Quoting from a fellow teammate, it seems, or a fellow companion in the chat. So it's good to hear that it all went well. He can join himself back on the grid. I think we do still have some spaces on the grid for anyone actually in the chat who wants to get involved. Stan, if you're watching this race live or if you're watching it back on YouTube or Twitch, feel free to just send me a message and we could be able to get you on the grid. I don't think we are full as things stand, but we've got quite a few drivers joining and leaving as replacements, so it's a little bit tricky to keep up with everything, but I think we have a 13 driver grid. We could accept 16 and I do post commentary. That is not a problem. If we get 16 drivers, I will do post commentary and I won't be able to watch it live effectively, but that could be more fun. I don't know if it's fun. We will miss qualifying though. Qualifying can be quite entertaining, especially when purple laps are set every other lap like we had at the start of Trial Mountain. 1 minute Tiger was on pole, then Dan, then Bonnie, Tim at one point. Finn into the pits. We've got a few different strategies in tonight's race. Usually we see everyone into the pits all at once, but we've had a fair selection. We've had Andy into the pits already. Where's Ted? Has Ted disconnected? He hasn't disconnected, he's just backed off, because I don't think he's left. No, he hasn't left. He hasn't left the lobby, so he has just backed... Oh no, there he is in 5th place. My apologies, Ted. I'm not used to seeing you so high up the grid. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That is harsh. Ted, I'm going to give you 20 extra points in the championship for that. I'm sorry. My apologies. That is really bad. I would get... Can you imagine if Crofty done that in F1? With, like, Latifi or something? He would get the sack. I'm going to get roasted after this race, and my DMs are going to get spammed. He's going to send mercenaries after me. Call Lamar on GTA. Aston, no, we don't need to clip that. We don't need to say that. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. Ted running an amazing race in 5th place. Hasn't come into the pits just yet, but could potentially be on a one-stop if he wants to try and stretch those mediums. If he can go to lap 20, lap 18, he could go for a medium soft. I think a lot of the top drivers, Tim maybe, going in for a medium soft or a medium hard. The fuel in these cars last a minimum of 22 laps if you do not save. No, a maximum of 22, sorry, not a minimum. A maximum of 22 laps if you don't save. Dan Schneider into the pits off of the medium compound tyres. Look at Tim's front tyres. He's looking after those front tyres while still gapping the 2 cars behind. Tiger Assassin and 7/10 behind Bon Iver in the battle for 2nd place. A reminder, the pole sitter has not finished on the podium in the first 3 races of the season. Tiger Assassin is on course to break that curse with a 20-second lead ahead of Ted, but has not come into the pits yet. He's got drivers like Cameron Kaboom, Legion, Dan Schneider and Fit, who've all come into the pits for different tyres. It looks like it's softs for, mediums for Cameron, softs for Dan Schneider, mediums for Legion, softs for Finn and softs for his teammate. So we've got a nice different variety of strategies heading your way in this race. ND out of the pits on a set of medium compound tyres. Does need to make another pit stop. All those on the mediums need to pit again to fulfill the 2 mandatory, or the 2 different tyre compound rule. And I'd love if you could stay with live commentary. You'd do a great job. Well, technically it'd still be live, it'd just be from the replay. The race wouldn't be live, but it would still be natural commentary per se. I wouldn't know what would happen. I wouldn't watch the replay before. I would only know what the starting grid is based on, you know, the first second of when the 5 red lights go out. But for now, we don't need to do that because we haven't got 16 drivers, but it's something I would be willing to do to get the grid full, if that makes sense. Obviously, we're down to 10 drivers tonight because of a few individual incidents with, IRL situations that people can't attend. So we do actually have a pretty stacked grid. It's just the point that if we do get 16 drivers, I would be more than willing to expand the grid. It's a shame we can't get 20 drivers on the grid like you can in the Nations Cup and Manufacturers Series. That would be something Polyphony might add in about 2 years' time. I don't see it being a recent thing. I say 2 years because this game's going to be out for 5 years before they add GT8 or another version of GT Sport. So we have plenty of time for experiments and different cars, different tracks. My aim is to go at every single race at every single circuit this game has to offer. So far we're doing a pretty good job at it. Dan Schneider, TCR Legion, get the jump on Bon Evil. Look at the undercut. Cameron Kaboom gets ahead of Ted, who drops down to 4th place. But look at this. Dan Schneider pitting onto softs 2 laps ago. He's now ahead of Bon Evil, who was running in 2nd place. Have TCR Legion and Dan Schneider just pulled the bunny out of the hat? Because Bonnie's now down to 7th place. Yes, drivers have not pit, and the incident with Tiger Assassin cost them a lot of time. But this has turned the race completely upside down. It's put a twist on it, and well, I was going to spoil I was going to make spoilers for. Never mind. It's a twist, all right. It's like Liz Truss stepping down as... Actually, no, that's pretty much expected. Bonnie even out to the inside of TCR Legion. Let's not get political with the streams, actually. That's a bad road to go down. The road I want to stay on is this road at Trial Mountain. And I want to stay on it for another 16 laps. Dan Snyder now leads the train for 5th place as Bonnie gets ahead of 7th place. I've only just realised that only British people might understand that Liz Truss reference. Basically, the British Prime Minister, after 45 days in charge, has resigned. And 12 of those days were the Queen's funeral, so she's done nothing. So that's a new record. In and out. Just like that. Could have made another remark about Ted's race finishing record on GT Sport, but I didn't. So, I see hovering over that click button. So I restrained myself. But Ted running in the best position that he's done all season. I don't think he's ever been this high up in the main league. Well, the top division at least. Ted's having an absolutely amazing race. If he can pull off a one-stop strategy, I reckon he could do it, because Ted, he's one to never count out Ted. That's something that we've all learned from the second division on GT Sport. Never count him out. He's particularly good at conserving his tyres, it seems. So if you look at Tigers, he's close to puncture territory, and we've seen it happen in the past with drivers getting caught out with punctures. Although there's no visible puncture, it can happen. It can indeed happen. Tiger moves his car within the white lines, goes into the pits. Bonnie Evil trying to go around the outside of Dan Schneider on a fresher set of the soft compound tyres. Can't make it work on this occasion. He's stuck behind the Mercedes for what could be another lap, unless he tries something into the final few corners, maybe even turn 1. But Tiger into the pits. Where is he going to filter out? Is he going to go onto a set of softs, or is it going to be hards? I think for the final 14 laps you would think it'd be soft compound tyres, and it could be a one-stop strategy. No one's ever attempted the one-stop, but with the reduced tyre wear due to the new update, Bonnie Evil now standing one to the inside of Dan. He's gone in a little bit deep. There might have been contact to the inside of the final corner. Forces Dan Schneider into the wall. Forces Dan Schneider into the wall. I don't know where the P came from in that sentence. Bin now up into 7th place, but Bonnie Evil barging his way through. Has Tiger got the jump on the British driver in towards turn 1? Indeed he has. Now up into 4th place. Ted is running in a podium position, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a drill. This is not a practice session. This is for real. Let's end the race now. Red flag it. I would be more than happy to end the race here. Ted MC running in 3rd place. He's in a podium position. Bonnie and Tiger Assassin going side by side once again through the middle sector. They came together in this corner once before. Can they keep it clean this time with Bonnie Evil round the outside? He's in the wall again, running wide onto the grass that lays on the outside of turn 7. Through turn 8 they go, wheel to wheel with Dan Schneider. Let's look right on board from the rear of Tiger Assassin's rear wing. He's got a Genesis and a Mercedes side by side behind him, looking angry in the background. Bonnie Evil gets the jump ahead of the Mercedes. Dan Schneider tucks into the 6th group now before pulling over to the inside, tucks back over to the racing line. Tiger's got Ted on the end of a hook, it seems. Those fresh soft compound tyres pulling in the Subaru, who's done 18 laps on the mediums. Tim stays out for another lap. He's done 19 laps on the medium tyres. He's close to a rear right puncture. I think he needs to pit this lap before the tyres go off. It would be a shame if Tim's chance of a first win this season were to be thrown down the toilet with a rear right puncture that we've seen twice in the past 2 races. Ted is into the pits off of the medium compound tyres as the herd, the peloton it may seem, makes their way through down the start-finish straight. Look at this train forming now behind Tiger Assassin for the final spot on the podium. Is Bonnie Evil going to send it in towards turn 1? Pulls up alongside the Mercedes, the Genesis, down the inside in towards turn 1. Tiger leaves from the room, backs out of that move. It is really tricky to go wheel to wheel consecutively through 1, 2, 3 and 4. Could Tiger lose another position to Dan Schneider, who's on the inside? Makes a little bit of contact with the Mercedes as Tiger doesn't see him on the inside, but a beautiful move from Dan Schneider, capitalising on Tiger going slightly wide, whether that's his usual racing line. If it is, well, the door was left wide open for the Dutchman to slip his way through. Bonneville now with a little bit of a breathing space now to Dan Schneider. 1.3 seconds is the gap behind. Tim leading this race by 30 seconds, but he's got a rear right puncture. He's got a rear right puncture and he needs to pit this lap. The rear right has gone, but thankfully for him, he's got a 30-second lead to Cameron Kaboom, 38 seconds to Bonneville, and he's hoping the pit stop's no more than 40 seconds as Dan Schneider now may lose a position to Tiger Assassin, who repays the favour, goes down the inside of the Mercedes and towards turn 9 and gets the move back up into 4th place. Down with the little run wide, cut and side trick to get a good run up the hill. It's not long enough for him to fight the Mercedes back in towards the downhill right-hander of turn 13. Now the downhill left-hander of turn 13, sorry, turn 12 in towards turn 13. This track with quite a bit of elevation, I think it's 0.4 miles from the lowest to the highest. Tim putting fuel into the Mercedes as Cameron Kaboom makes his way down the start-finish straight. Tim still in the pit lane putting in fuel. Bonneville now down the start-finish straight in towards turn 1, but Tim will lead the pits in the lead of the race. Cameron Kaboom, well, will take the net lead of the race, but still needs to make a pit stop, having pit for 2 sets of medium compound tyres. 1.3 seconds between Bonneville and Tiger Assassin. Dan Schneider not too far behind either, and Finn only 6/10 behind the Mercedes. Oh, is that Tiger off? That's Tiger off. He's in the wall. He doesn't have damage, but he's lost a few positions to the cars in front. He's to the cars behind, sorry, now in front of the Mercedes. And it's the pole position curse that is striking once again. Tiger, who started this race on the front row of the grid, had all 11 drivers behind him, and he's now in 6th place. Pole position is a curse in this GT7 season. Your current race leader, Cameron Kaboom, might lose the position to the actual race leader, Adam Grin, in 2nd place. He pulls alongside the Porsche now in the back straight in towards turn 9 and gets the move done easily on the fresh set of soft compound tyres. Tiger Assassin will need to try and regain his composure on this fresh set of softs and fight back. Thankfully for him, the grid is still closely compact together after 20 laps of racing, 37 minutes into the race, and he's got Finn 5/10 ahead of him on a Warner set of soft compound tyres, possibly on a 2-stop. Tiger could be on a 1-stop. Looks like Tim, Bonnie, Tiger and Ted all on a 1-stop strategy, a medium to soft. A strategy when testing for this season I never thought anyone would attempt, but times have changed with the altercation of the tyre physics after update 1.25, which dropped on Thursday the 20th of October 2022. Don't know why I said it like that, made it sound so dramatic. Dan Schneider's fuel light though is flashing red and will probably need to be into the pits at the end of this lap to refuel and swap out, change those tyres for another set of softs. Tim leading this race by about 5.8 seconds, no, 6 seconds to Bonneville. Tiger out to the inside of Finn. That came from absolutely nowhere. Don't know whether there was contact or not. Doesn't look like Finn has any damage to the left-hand side of the car, which is where the contact would have been made, if any. Tiger now up into 5th position, 2.3 seconds behind Dan Schneider, but he can't breathe just yet. He's still got Finn to deal with in 6th place behind him. Maybe a lunge in towards turn 4 might not have been the smartest move, but it is if you're in a Mercedes and you've got a Mustang now behind you, because it's not the quickest American car on this circuit. It's not the quickest car in a straight line. That's what I was meant to say. Although with the aid of slipstream it is gaining. Tiger goes defensive to the inside, pulls over a little bit late. I don't know if Finn was expecting the movement so close to the braking zone. Tiger now though is not going to want to lose that position to Finn after the mistake he made at turn 2, going in a little bit deep, maybe taking up too much curve with too much speed on the inside of turn 1, which forced the car wide for the second half of the first sequence of corners. The thing about this track, although it's made up of 15 corners, and this might sound a little bit silly, it might sound a little bit dumb, it might sound a bit obvious, but each corner flows one into another. You mess up one, you mess up another. You mess up turn 2, it ruins your line for you mess up turn 1, you ruin your line for 2 and 3, and if you get out of shape for 3, you leave yourself vulnerable to 4. In towards 5, the right-hander sets you up nicely for 7 and 8. You get a good bad run down in towards turn 8, you get a bad run in towards turn 9, the longest straight on this circuit. Best overtaking opportunity down in towards turn 9. Go wide or too deep in towards turn 9, you could you could be vulnerable in towards 10, 11 and 12, the little sequence of S's up the hill before going down into 12. You mess up 12, could be vulnerable into 13. Mess up 13, you've got a little bit of a straight before it's 14 and 15. You mess up 15 and you've got a bad run in towards turn 1, and the sequence continues again. That's why these things are called circuits, because they flow. If there's one part of the circuit that's messed up, then it will affect the rest of the circuit. And on the thought of that, from the nightmare of analogies I had in Lago Maggiore, that, my friends, is what I would like to call redemption. I can't think of a word now, I've messed it up. But for those who watch Lago Maggiore, I can't remember if it was the live stream, the replay, or both, but I couldn't think of any analogies. I think I ended up talking about the Titanic at one point. What was I talking about last week? I went slightly off topic. Dan Schneider's into the pits before he runs out of fuel. I think there's someone else who's going to be into the pits fairly soon. I think it's Stan. Before he gets a front right puncture, he makes his way through turn 13. He pulls over to the left hand side of the circuit and does come into the pits. Legion and Finn also in off the mediums and soft compound tyres. Cameron Kaboom's saying that. I was almost going to question if he can go to the end. The answer is no, he has no fuel. Welcome everyone joining us for this stream, and honestly, I'm upbeat for this race, and if you're upbeat for a race, it means it's been a good race. This has been action-packed of action. We're getting similar effects to Lago Maggiore. Some of you are probably sat there thinking there's no on-track overtakes, this race is slowly dying. The spark, that was it. I was speaking about fire last week. The spark is slowly dying, but no, it's not. The different strategies mean everyone separates as the drivers on the faster tyre go quicker than the ones on the slower tyre. But what that means is the driver on the faster tyre often needs to use the slower tyre towards the end of the race, and if the faster drivers on the faster tyre decide to stay out, that fast tyre will become significantly slower than the new fast tyres on the drivers who are pitting, such as Finn, Dan Schneider on the 2-stop. Ted on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, currently in 8th place, running in the highest position he's run this season. On course to score the highest points he scored this season, because obviously he was running in 3rd earlier on in the race. Cameron Kaboom's being caught up by Bonnie Eagles, but I don't think that's going to matter, because the Porsche pulls over to the left-hand side of the circuit and into the pit lane. Play Dutchy cheering on Tim. Well, Dutchy, you've missed a lot if you're just joining in, because this race we've had 20 solid laps of action as drivers now make their second pit stop. Tim, Bon Even and Tiger Assassin, Ted as well, on the attempt of a one-stop strategy with the new tyre update. Tim has absolutely dominated this race since he got to the lead on roughly lap 9 or 10. Bonnie and Tiger were leading this race respectively. And then Tim went, you know what, I want to have a go at this. Got up into the lead of the race and then pulled away. The contact between Bonnie and Tiger when they came together at turn 7 did aid in Tim's advantage, but you can't take anything away from the flying Finn. Tiger 20 seconds ahead of Finn, which is roughly where he was before the pit stops were made, but he doesn't look like he's going to be on course to make another stop. Was the one stop the most efficient strategy today? Next week's race at Spa is the race before the 1 week autumn break, you might interpret it as, where the tyre settings might alter slightly to become adjusted, or to adjust to the new physics updates that we received. Looks like Bonnie has made a mistake somewhere. He's lost time Look at the tyre difference between him and Tiger Assassin. Looks like Bon Evil might struggle for the one stop, but he's definitely going to be into the pits again for another set of soft compound tyres. Maybe he should have done it a couple of laps ago. He pitted on lap, what, 15? And he's done 10 laps. And he's now going to do 6 laps on a set of soft compound tyres. And to balance it out, to get the most out of the tyres, in theory, if you pitted on lap 15, to take the tyres, what, 17 laps, you'd go 8 and 8, or 8 and 9 even, rather than 10 and 6. Because yes, you'll get 6 good laps at the end of the race on a set of soft compound tyres, but look at those last lap times on a worn set of softs, 50, 49s. Maybe should have pit on lap 20 or 21 to get the most out of the tyres across the 2 stints. But with Bon Evil in and out of the pits, this could be close with Finn in towards turn 1, riding on board with the German. Bon Evil's tyres are going to be cold. He's going to be compromised, taking a narrow route, a narrow line in towards turn 1. Obviously Finn carrying the speed from the final corner. Is he within the slipstream range, which is about 7-8 tenths of a second? 1.1 seconds, the Mustang behind the Genesis, but it is going to take a little bit of time to get those tyres up to temperature. Yes, Bon Evil's on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, but we know how quick Finn is. Maybe he's the flying Finn, although one of our flying Finns is winning the race. Literally a flying Finn by flying Finn by name, flying Finn by nationality. There we go. We've got a new saying for 2 drivers. You love to see it. My analogies are back. Stan and Ted now battling. If Stan gets ahead of Ted, I just about saw that change on the leaderboard. Ted now down to 9th place, but is still running some good points. Bon Evil just 5 tenths now ahead of Finn. Could his podium be under pressure? Under pressure. Probably can't sing that because we'll get copyright claimed, and you probably don't want to become deaf after the stream. Tiger, interestingly, pitting on lap 25 of 31. Maybe almost abandoning the chance of winning this race. Maybe trying to... I mean, if he stayed out, I don't think he would have lost the position to Bon Evil, but maybe just trying to cover him off in case the tyres don't make it to the end of the race. But the car pulls into the pit lane as Bon Evil rounds the final corner onto the start-finish straight. This could be close as the tyres are getting changed on the Mercedes. Bon Evil now down the start-finish straight. Could Tiger lose 2nd place? Where is the Mercedes? It's not even out the pit lane. Tiger now drops to 4th place, from 2nd to 4th place. The pole position curse is striking again after his mistake earlier on in the race at turn 1 and 2, dropped him down to 6th place. Was this all part of the strategy to pit for another set of soft tyres? If it was part of the strategy, he's got to gain 5 seconds in 5 laps. Is this a BCMR blunder with the strategy call? I was under the assumption that Tiger was going to make the one-stop work. If anything, Tim, well, he's now been given a gift to pit for the fastest lap of the race and stay in the lead of the race. He has the fastest lap already. It's a 48 flat. So now Tiger pitting from 2nd place has given Tim a 32-second lead over Bon Evil, and given him the choice whether he wants to try and go for another fastest lap, risk the lead he has, spend about 22 seconds in the pit stop, which is the average pit stop loss time for just a fresh set of tyres. So he would get a 10-second lead over Bon Evil, but if he pushes and crashes, then that could change. I think he might wait till lap 29, just wait and see if any of these drivers can improve. Tiger Assassin drifting his way through turn 14, well, turn 13 I say, drifting, spinning with style per se. Well, drifting with style before spinning. It's not been a race to remember for him so far. Yes, it's a solid performance in 4th, but I think his expectations are higher than 4th. I think they're probably higher than 2nd place after starting on pole position. But if he finishes in 4th, we keep up the 100% record of drivers not finishing on the podium after starting on pole position. Bon Evil just gapping Finn by about 1.1 seconds, maybe 2 or 3 tenths advantage on the last lap alone. Tim 31 seconds out in front. Tiger could be under pressure from camera Kaboom, but I think the Brit in the Porsche has made a mistake with that gap being 1.2 seconds after Tiger's little incident. Not long left to go in this race. It's absolutely flown by. With Tim on an absolute charge. He joined this race, this championship, on round 3. He's got a pretty decent record so far. It's good to see so many people tuning into the streams, because you are not... Wait, hang on, let me think about this. I was almost going to say I'm losing it, but to be honest, I think I've got a pretty good excuse for losing it after the race we've had today. It might not look close when you look at the map, but after the action we had in the first 66% of the race, the first 2/3 of action, they've been incredible. It's the difference between the 1-stop and the 2-stop, which has really kind of thrown this race on its head, let's say. Different drivers going for mediums, different drivers going for softs, some tyres working, some not. But the closest battle on circuit for the final few laps is the battle for second place. 1.5 seconds is the gap between Finn and Bon Evil. Bonnie with the fresher tyres, but I think Finn is doing a better job looking after them. He's on 5-lap old softs compared to Bonnie's 4-lap old softs. We've got some breaking news from the live chat. Playdachi will be racing at the Spa race next week, making his return after dominating Lago Maggiore. Is set to drive for the Belgian Grand Prix next week, same time, same place. You don't want to miss it. Spa, one of my personal favourite tracks, is definitely up there in my top 5. A track that doesn't always provide the best overtaking, the best racing, but definitely doesn't, what am I trying to say? Its overtaking is limited. No, it's not limited. It'll be a good race. Turn 1, 2, 3, 4. The bus stop chicane. It'll be a good race. The middle sector, though, is where you can lose or gain all your time. And if you make a move in the middle sector, well, you're doing something right. Let's put it that way. Tim into the pits to now try and retake the fastest lap of the race from Bon Evil, who took that on lap 26, a 48 flat. I don't know if Tiger made the right call pitting again to a fresh set of softs. Yes, he had the opportunity to go for a fastest lap, but that's only worth 1 point. Going from 2nd to 4th, well, that's 10 points. No. Sorry, that's not 10 points, it's 7 point difference. I think he probably could have got to the end of the race on those soft compound tyres. Tim was certainly on course to go to the end of the race on the soft compound tyres, but by Tiger pitting, gave to Tim the 32-second advantage that he previously owned, to make the decision to pit for another fastest lap. So Tim, if anything, he's got nothing to lose in this race. He's either winning this race with the fastest lap, or he's winning this race with a chance of the fastest lap. Had Bon even have not taken the fastest lap away, as he has done, then Tim would have stayed out and easily won the race by 30 odd seconds. But Tim now given the freedom to convert onto a 2-stop and make it work. We could have made the 1-stop work and still have won the race, but the gap 9.3 seconds, 3 seconds to Finn from Bon Evil, and Tiger 5 seconds. I'm having a stroke through. Where do we get through from? 5 seconds behind Finn through turn 13 to put the word through in it. I want to say it's been a long race, but it's gone by very, very quickly. That's because it's been amazing. I've not stopped talking. There's me last week and the week before asking for a co-commentator, but had a co-commentator been joining me, well, there would have been a mime or a ventriloquist. They probably wouldn't have said much. No, but if I did have a co-commentator, I would have obviously stopped to let them have their say. I'm not going to shut them up just because I want to, because I'm the only one here, so obviously I've got to keep talking. In other words, it's my job as the streamer, as the commentator, not to stop talking, whether you like it or not. Looks like we could have a nice battle for 9th place here between Ted and ND. But one's got no fuel, one's got no life on the tyres. This is Ted attempting the one stop. And, I think Tiger might have tried. But Tim trying to get the fastest lap back, which we can now have a look and see. Tim in his newly made Mercedes AMG GT3. He's 5/10 off his personal best, but it doesn't matter. Either Tim's getting 30 points or 31 points from today's race. By making that pit stop, he's lost absolutely nothing from this race. Let's quickly look back throughout the field. We've got Legion under pressure from Stan for 7th place in the race. ND under pressure from Ted, although Ted's tyres I think are just starting to wear his look at the front and rear right hand side tyres. They're going quite far off the cliff. Tim up to the line to start the final lap of the race. He leads the field away on lap 31 of 31. 56 minutes into the race. It's going to be a 57.5 minute race. Close enough to the 58 minute mark. So it's within the 55-60 minute window that I aim for these races to be, which is always wonderful to see. You've got to give a little bit of extra couple of laps for the good races. We'll keep an eye on the progress between Legion and Stan, but I've got a minute and a half to do nothing but praise Mr. Atengrin. He joined in Lago Maggiore after fixing his wheel, which was broken, but it didn't take much to repair. Joined in that race, and I can't actually remember where he finished. But he was looking racy, and he was looking like a possible championship contender had he been here in the first 2 races. But nevertheless, that's not going to deter him from giving it his all. He didn't start this race on pole position, but that might be a good thing, because the pole sitter has never finished in the top 3, and he was stuck behind Bonnie and Tiger for a couple of laps. But he said, you two have led enough laps in this race. I'm going to stop saving my tyres, stop saving my fuel, and I'm going to give it a go. He got past Tiger, he got past Bonnie, and then in true Dutchy fashion, he put them in his mirrors, and, they were never to be seen again. Nailed the one stop. Doesn't look like he was going to get the first lap in this race after pitting on lap 28 to try and get it back. He rounds the final corner for the final time. He's got one straight to go. Your flying Finn is back, and he wins here at Trial Mountain. He claims the checkered flag at round 4 and claims 30 points on his return to the GT7 League. Only a second race, and his championship fight is back on. Bon Evil finishes on the podium for the first time this season in 2nd place, ahead of Finn, who makes it another podium for him in 3rd, ahead of a race of, mistakes from Tiger Assassin, let's put it that way. Hasn't broken the pole position curse, and will finish off the podium in 4th, ahead of Cameron Kaboom in 5th place. Dan Schneider on his GT7 League debut finishes in 6th place after qualifying, I think, in 3rd place, or possibly even on the front row of the grid. Gave it his all, and that's all you can give. Stan on his debut did get ahead of Legion in the end, finishes in 7th place, and he'll be doing Costa proud in 7th place. Absolutely amazing race, as backed up by the comments. ND was able to hold off Ted in the end, who had absolutely no rubber left on those soft compound tyres. And it's the first race of the season. This is the first time where we've had every driver have at least one race where they haven't finished on the podium. With Toussaint, your championship leader, unable to extend his championship lead, obviously will score no points, and it's the first time this season that he has finished of the podium this season. But, well, the Mercedes keeps up its winning streak. The Mercedes AMG has won every race no, it hasn't. Dutchy won in the Porsche. There goes the stats. But it's a German manufacturer who maintains its 100% win record, and it is Adam Graham who takes the top step of the podium. 3 points. Not 3 points, 30 points in his championship fights. He is, as Mark Goldbridge would say, he's back in it after missing the first 2 races of the season. That race has definitely closed down the gap out in front, and the Constructors is looking a little bit more interesting with a lot of different teams scoring good amounts of points. Well, there you have it. That was the end of round number 4 out of 11 at Trial Mountain. It made its GT7 debut, and it made a good enough first impression to make a return for future seasons. For those who watch my highlights, that will be up in a couple of days, but let's summarise the action for those who missed the start. Tiger started on pole position, but quite quickly dropped down into 3rd place after the front 3 had a really nice battle for the lead. Piero got caught up in a battle for 4th place, and it was looking like it could have been a good result for the Frenchman after disconnecting roughly 11 laps into the race. 5th and below between Finn, Stan, Legion and Cameron went wheel to wheel for quite a few laps. We could get an interview, actually. I hadn't thought of that. Let's cut the highlights, the summary. Bonnie, I see you in the chat. Would you like to join me for an interview? I'll start a party in the GT7 chat, so if anyone who wants to join for an interview, please join the GT7 chat. So let's see if we can get anyone in for an interview at the end of this race. We're bringing the interviews back from Season 1 and Season 2. And, well, we've got our first interviewer, Bonneville99. Welcome.
Welcome.
No, I haven't had much time to prepare a question, so I'm going to be doing it after I ask you the first one. Would you like just to sum up that race for us? How did it go from your point of view?
Well, the update yesterday didn't exactly help things, but it was originally going to be a medium soft. Then the update comes out, and we had to improvise. Getting told of what, Toussaint unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, which was a bit disappointing. And Tiger, they said they could do like 16 to 18 laps, and again I was just like, oh, this is going to be another recovery drive, but I'm happy with the result. It's a 1-2 for me and Tim. Obviously, congratulations to Tim. Absolutely, he's kind of left us all for dead, really. But it could have gone a lot better at certain aspects. But at the end of the day, it's hard, fair racing.
You say it could have got a lot better. The only way it could have got better is if you finished one position higher. Tim just had the all-out pace, and it looked like at one stage, you, Tim, and Tiger are almost contemplating a one-stop. Looked like Tim was always going on for a one-stop. Did you contemplate doing the one-stop? Because I think you put it slightly earlier from the softs to go into another set of softs. Was the one-stop ever on?
For me, it was just a really aggressive two-stop. I couldn't do the same amount of laps that Tim and Tiger were doing. I was surprised when Tiger came into the pits again, though, because I thought he should have enough tyres to get to the end, but that must be some inter-team Ferrari dilemmas right there. But for me, it was a straightforward, easy two-stop, medium soft, and just had to take it from there.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish, your first podium of the season. Looks like, well, you can now enjoy a 1-2, as we are now also joined by your race winner, Adam Grin. Welcome to the interview section for your first time, also your first time on the top step of the podium this season. Would you like to talk us through that one?
It was good. I I didn't make mistakes, and I won.
Well, in true Finnish fashion, you've pretty much summed it up like Kimi Räikkönen would. To go to your strategy, well, you got the lead of the race and then just pulled away from Bonnie and Tiger after they got involved in a little bit of an altercation between those two. That lost them quite a lot of time. I thought you were going on for a one-stop. Was that final pit stop for a fastest lap attempt after Bonnie went for a two-stop?
Yes.
A nice short answer, keeping it nice and simple. Well, congratulations on your 1-2. It's only your second race of your season. Do you think the championship is now on?
Yes.
Well, once again, nice and simple, one-word answers. You love to see it. Makes my job a little bit easier. Although I now can't sit here and write you more questions, because by the time I've asked you a question, you're finished answering it. So thanks for that. But a great job. You had 31 really nice, clean, consistent laps. And, well, I now consider you a worthy championship contender. Good luck next week in Spa.
Thank you.
Nice and simple from Tim. A little bit more detail from Bonnie Evil. But there we have it. A nice end to round 4 in Trail Mountain. I'll see you guys next week at Spa before the autumn break, where we have 1 week of relaxation. Just in case Bonnie or Tim had their audio off, Bonnie was basically saying thought he could have done better, despite the second place finish, and the two-stop was kind of always on, was always a possibility. But the update definitely changed things in terms of the strategy. If Tim had his audio off, to sum it up, he basically said the race was good, he was consistent, and he won the race. Nice and simple, one-word answers. I'm not going to finish this off with not a one-word answer, but it's kind of a prolonged outro. Goodbye, everyone. I've been XNAG. I hope you have enjoyed this amazing race, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.